Yeah.
And today I have actually two news for you. One is good and one is bad, like always. And I start from the bad one. I'm a lawyer, so all lawyers are boring. And but the good news is that it will be short. So I'm very happy to be here, actually, in this wonderful audience. And I do hope that somebody will get some news from this presentation, and I would be even more happy if you find some useful things here. So let's start, because we're short of time, and basically behind every startup there is an idea. And during our practice we see that when the investor comes, one of the main and one of the first questions that the investor puts on the table is, guys, what about IP? Is it protected? Does your idea belong to you? And unfortunately, usually the answer is, oops, I don't know, maybe no, maybe yes, but we're not sure. So it is very important to protect your idea, because as I told, there is an idea behind every startup. So, yes. The truth is that finding a profitable idea is much more frequent, may happen much more frequently than winning a jackpot. So your money lies in your idea, and it has to be protected. So the first lesson is use your brain and work for your profitable idea. And yes, Estée Lauder, well-known cosmetics company, was a startup also previously one day. As I told, when the investor comes, he looks at how is your IP protected. And if the investor finds that the IP is in a good order, it means that your company is in a good order and in a good shape, and this makes your company even more attractive for some funding, for some investigation. These are the main questions that you have to ask yourself if you talk about IP. What is IP? Am I the sole owner of IP? Is my IP protectable? How to protect it? And is it expensive to protect my IP? I'll try to answer all these questions in my short presentation today. So, what is IP? When we talk about IP, we have different things. We have trademarks, we have invention, we have design, we have copyright, and we have know-how, and many, many other things. And all these things can be found in any startup company. So you have to clear what IP you have, what objects of IP you have in your company, and try to protect it one by one. Let's the next question is, am I the sole owner of the IP? Because we usually have situations when there are a lot of friends making some good things, making some fancy things, they're having good time, they're doing some, let's say, the game, and then one friend quits, two are left, they take another one, and the company of three, they make a company, they make a startup. And when we start to talk about the protection of that game, who is the owner, who is the copywriter of that game, they said, yeah, we had a friend, but he left, and but it doesn't matter, because he left. He's not very he does not care about that. But then we have a Facebook case when also somebody at the beginning somebody didn't care about the ownership or the copyright to Facebook, but afterwards the guys were sued, and the case was finished in a not very favorable way to the current owner of Facebook. So you have to be sure that every person who is doing something in your company, who is working with an idea, signs some agreements, signs some written papers, saying that, okay, I transfer all the IP that I created while performing this idea, I transfer to the company, and it has to be in written, because according to the law, only intellectual property that is created by employee in the company, if the employee is working under the labor contract, belongs to the employer, but it's only for 5 years. So if you have no written agreement for transferring of rights, you have only labor contract. So, and let's say the person makes a trademark, this trademark will belong to you only for 5 years. The rights to this trademark will belong to you only for 5 years. But later on it will be transferred back to that person. So this is a very tricky situation, and you need to know that. And you need to put in your agreement with every person who works for the company that all the IP that is created while the person works in the company has to be transferred to the company. Then your rights will be cleared, and the company will be sure that all intellectual property belongs to it, and they can freely use it, and it has to be in written. So, how to protect your IP? As I told, put it on the paper, sign confidentiality clauses, and if it's possible, register and do it worldwide. We'll talk about this later on. So let's start with the probably most common thing with the trademarks, because if there is a good trademark, then your company can be attractive for the consumers. Can you register Apple brand? What do you think? Oh. Yes? No? Okay. Actually, what is the trademark? The trademark can be different kind of graphical things. What do you see here? What? No, I mean the color, the trademark. Do you see the trademark here? What is it? What? In a kind, yes. You may be right, but this trademark belongs not to this company. That's Milka, chocolate Milka. So you can see that just color can make a trademark. And if you have the trademark that is so distinctive to the consumer, you must register it, just like color. And we may have another exercise. Do you see the mistake here? So that also shows how important the trademark is to your company, because the consumer, they may distinct your product, your services, just by seeing a simple sentence, simple slogan. So we may have different kind of trademarks, and there are just a few examples of these. We may have sound trademark. Let's say the sound of the New York Exchange opening, the bell. It is registered as a sound trademark. The roar or the lion of the Paramount Pictures, when you start the movie and you have a lion, it's also registered as a trademark, as a sound trademark. We have the Big Pen, which is a 3D trademark. We could have also the smell trademark, and I think the best example is the smell of McDonald's, because if you cross the street and you feel the smell, you can say that, okay, McDonald's is somewhere here, right? So if we could put it on the paper, that smell, then it could be registered. And the smell of fresh cut grass was registered like 25 years ago. Now the registration is over, but it was registered for the tennis balls. You are walking down the shop and you see this, you feel the smell of fresh cut grass, and you know that the tennis balls of a certain company is somewhere around. So that is how important the trademark is. Therefore, you have to protect it. So how to protect your trademark? For trademarks, only registration will do, because there is a possibility to have a protection for non-registered trademark, but it's too difficult. So if you find a proper trademark, you don't start use it. Just go to the patent office, register it, and then use it. And it works only for the specific goods and services. Let's say you can have different, you can have the same trademark for different goods. And I could I could use the word saulutė, right, in Lithuanian language, which is it used to be a shop, and also we have butter saulutė. So for different goods and services, trademarks can be the same, and they can belong to different persons. The registration of trademarks are valid only for specific territory. And if you register trademark only in Lithuania, then it's valid for Lithuania. If you do it for European Union, it's for European Union. And then this registration doesn't work for China, because you have to go to China and register the trademark there. And the duration of the protection of the trademark is 10 years. So you have to renew it 10 years. So the investition probably that you are making at the first stage, this is not really quite much. If we talk European Union, it's about 1,000 euros. But you pay it now, and it's valid for 10 years. So it's easy. It's not very expensive, but it's a must thing you have to do. And my advice is that your trademark should not be distinctive. Let's say you cannot register shoes or sneakers for shoes, or you cannot do telco for telecom services. It has to be distinctive. It has to distinct your company, your product, your services from other companies, products or services that are on the market. So, can you register Apple brand? Actually, you can, but Apple will sue you, because according to the general systems, in Lithuania you can register Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola will come and sue you, because the patent office, they don't check the brand, so you are responsible for creating your own brand. So my advice is to try something yours. The next thing is invention. That's a complicated thing, so but it's impossible to tell in a few words. But also, only registration will do. If you have an invention, you cannot start to use it. You cannot say a word to anybody without a confidentiality agreement about it to anybody. You have to file the application to the patent office, and only then you can talk. Because if you disclose the scope of the invention to somebody, if you write an article, if you make a presentation, if you make a video on YouTube about this invention, then it's over. It's not new, and you will not be able to have a protection on this. You have to keep it in your mind. If you go to some advisors, economic or legal advisors, you have to have a confidentiality agreement with them, then talk about this, and only once you file it with the patent office, when you are sure that it is safely filed, you can start talking about it, and only in this case it will be protected fully. Again, the registration of invention is valid only for specific territory. If you do it in Lithuania, it's only Lithuania. If you do it if you do it in China, it's only in China. The difference between trademark and invention here is that you can file trademarks afterwards. You can today you can file trademark in Lithuania. After a year, you can file trademark in China. It does not work for invention. You have to file the application for invention at the same time, or within 12 months. So that's some legal things, but you have to know that you will not be able to expand it later on. You have to, now, while filing, you have to be, you have to know where you want to protect your invention in what territories, and do that at that stage. And invention has only 20 years of protection. It means that after 20 years, everybody else would be able to use the invention. But usually 20 years is quite enough to make you a new one, like to make some renewals of that invention, or just to close it. So as I told, your invention must be novel worldwide. You cannot disclose it until you file application, and it has to involve an inventive step. What does it mean? It has to have a wow effect for the specialist of that kind. Let's say if we talk about some pharma patent, pharma invention, the pharma specialist has to, while looking at this invention, he has to say, okay, that's good. I didn't thought about that, and I didn't see anything like that before, it's really wow. So that is an inventive step, and it's really quite difficult to have it. So protection of invention is not very easy. Then we go for the design. The design is the shape of something you made. It's like chair, it's like table, it's like some pattern if you have. It's like a shape of a bottle. That's the shape of the product that you made. And it also can be protected. Again, only registration will do. And only in certain territories. If you file in Lithuania, it's only in Lithuania, and it's 5 years, 25 years of protection. You have to pay every 5 years for the renewal. You have to check whether your design is not similar or very similar to some earlier designs, and it's a worldwide check. Because if there is some similar shape of the chair, let's say in Sweden, then you cannot register it, or it can be refused. So you have to be really inventive to have your design registered. And the last thing I want to talk about is the copyright. The copyright is a bit different. The copyright is everything that you make, that you create, and put it on the paper. If you want to have a copyright, you have to make something, you have to paint something, you have to draw something, you have to write something and put it on the paper. It has to be original. What does it mean to be original? It means that it has to be different from something that was created before. And of course, the scope of originality is different for every kind of the copyright work. Because if we make a picture of the same object, let's say of cathedral in Vilnius, then mostly the picture will look like the same, but one person can make a different angle and another person could put some other colors. Then this is originality. And the good news is that you do not have to register it. It is first to claim basis. I mean, if you say that I'm an author of this thing or this copyright, then you are the author, and the other person has to deny that presumption. And it has a worldwide protection, but it has protection only against the identical things. It's if you have the same picture, if the same photograph, then it can be protected. But if it's a little bit different and it involves originality, as I told before, then it's different and it cannot be protected. And it's valid 70 years, after your death. So it's quite a long time, which means that, let's say, music of Mozart is not protected anymore. You just have to put his name if you're using that music. But within the life of the author and 70 years after the death, you have to have a permission to use the copyright in your business, which means that if you want to use some picture in your website of the other person, or you see that some other person is using your picture, you can claim that is yours, and you can request to stop that activity. You can request damages also, because any use of the copyright object without the permission of the author or the person who holds the rights of the author, let's say the company, if the author transferred those rights, is not legal and it's punishable. So I think I'm right on time. I thank you very much. I invite you to join us on Facebook, Triniti Vilnius, and today we launch the Venture Capital Dictionary for Startups. So you can sign in, you can request, and we'll send you a free copy. Thank you very much.